7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
The Savachi syndrome, I'm telling you, I'm like, well, holy shit, that was crazy. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Moto Aftermath Show presented by TLR Coatings. Don't forget, stop by tlrcoatings.com for all your powder coating needs. They are on board with us this year and we are ready to go with them. So let's get through all the basic mumbo jumbo here. We are doing our wrap-up show for Glendale Supercross, which I was in attendance there. Justin is on the phone once again. He watched it from home, so we got a couple different views. Gonna be a relatively quick show this week. We're on a little bit of a truncated timetable here. I gotta get this up before I leave. So, paperwork time. First off, make sure you guys smash that subscribe button to help us out here. We've been doing a great job. We've been picking up lots of subscribers during the week. But any little bit helps. Share, make fake accounts, have your friends subscribe even if they don't like moto, whatever. You can also follow me on Instagram at Travis Ridenauer, and I post pictures, videos, all kinds of stuff there when I'm at the races, which I still have a couple more I'm trying to go to this year, so probably like Tampa and Indy as far as Supercross goes. But I'm still working out the details on that. You can follow the show on Facebook at the Moto Aftermath Show, and I'll link all this stuff in the description down below. And there we'll do updates. We are going to start the week of Daytona probably doing a preview show for the upcoming race. The Friday before the race, that'll go up, are just our thoughts on the upcoming races and what we think, how people are going to do, etc., etc. If you do want to help us out, because one of the problems we're having with YouTube at this point, if you haven't heard, is they're taking away monetization if you have less than 1,000 subscribers, which we are under that, so that's why we're trying to get more. But if you do want to help us out, support the show, help keep the lights on so we're not in the dark here, we have a Patreon, which is at the Moto Aftermath Show, and you can go on there, donate whatever. The more you donate, the more cool stuff I'll come up with to send you. Because we do appreciate you guys watching and subscribing and helping us out. There's also Amazon links I'll put in the description, which you can click those. You don't even have to buy what the link is to. If you just click those and then go on Amazon and buy something, we get a small slice of that, which again helps keep the lights on. Or you can buy t-shirts off of Teespring. You know, it's a basic black t-shirt with the show logo on the chest. They're like 23 bucks plus shipping. We get a cut of that also. I'll link that again in the description down below. Again, just helps us kind of keep the lights on and keep growing. We do want to get more guests on the show for you guys. Better lighting, etc. Obviously, this isn't great. I'm in a hotel room in Vegas right now because I'm here through Tuesday. So we're doing the show live from the hotel room, woo, in the beautiful Las Vegas. But anyway, we got Justin on the phone again this week. Say hi, Justin.
What's going on, guys?
So he's on the phone again this week, and we will start off here with a little bit of track talk. I guess things I saw while I was there. This track, obviously, much better. I think it's pretty common consensus around the pits from what I've heard and the industry in general that this track was way better than A2, which I don't think anybody will argue with. I have to say I've never been to University of Phoenix Stadium there. It was an incredible place, great building, huge building, easy to get to, great bar scene for afterwards. I didn't actually go to the bar and partake in any of that. I walked around the area and then left, but a great facility overall. Huge actually. You know, I've been to Ford Field and Lucas Oil Stadium, and this was by far, this was huge. It was bigger than those two. So that was cool. As far as the track itself went, the really cool thing was there were spots for separation for the 450s. The 250s were all kind of doing the same stuff, but the 450s had a lot of different stuff. There were a lot of 3-on, 3-offs that they could do in different rhythms through different sections. So that was neat. The whoops were actually decent sized and spread properly. Not so big that they were dangerous, but not so tiny that you didn't notice them. Justin, what were your thoughts on the track last night?
I honestly loved it, man. We were very critical, and a lot of the guys pretty much once again the general consensus in the industry for last weekend was they hated it. 2-1 line. It was almost, riding like a single track and, the trails and stuff. But we know what we get with dirt when we go to Glendale, or anytime we're in Arizona, obviously in the desert, dry, not a lot of moisture, so it's a little greasy for practice. But, yeah, I agree, man. We talked about how good Houston was with huge transitions and really making the guys think. I think you had to be very, very precise on this track. There was different variations where single over tables, 3 and out of tables, 3 off, but it wasn't your normal rhythm sections for most Supercross races where to hit the fast line they were deep from face to landing. They were whipped out, but they weren't deep. But the faces going into those rhythm sections were very, built up. So if you came in just a little, maybe even a mile per hour or a mile and a half over what you needed to be, you were going to end up mistiming it and landing in the transition. So you had to be very precise. You couldn't force it because of the way the faces were whipped out. You'd use a lot of energy, but I liked it. The whoop sections, like you said, weren't too dangerous. They weren't really, peaked. They were more deeper than anything. But on the right side, I did notice that they weren't level. So you had situations like you did in the 250 class with Savachi, Oldberg, and Bradley Taft where, you got halfway in, and if you got the front end light, you'd skip across and drop in and stuff. But all in all, I think it was great. I think they used as much of the stadium as they possibly could. Especially I liked how they went behind the start, coming across the finish, because I know that section was actually supposed to be different, and the finish was supposed to be out of that right-handed 180 coming across the start. So I really liked it. I think that a lot of the guys really had a lot of good feedback. And, yeah, I think it was all around good racing most of the day. And, yeah, I think that after last week's debacle, I think you won't hear a lot of complaining.
Yeah, I mean, I've listened to now interviews from, post-race interviews from the Tomac show. I've listened to both the press conferences and a couple other different things, and everyone really, really liked the track. I will say one other thing I did notice. With there, I actually thought I was going to be late. I didn't get there till almost 11:30. The gates opened at 11, so I thought I was going to miss first round time qualifying, but I actually ended up getting there just for the tail end of like 450B practice, I think was the last one.
Yep.
The track was really, really muddy. It was clay, but they'd watered the shit out of it, so it was like real slick on top. So yeah, greasy would be the proper term. So it was really, really greasy for practice, and actually that first qualifying also, it was still greasy. It didn't really get decent until second qualifying.
Yep.
So that was one thing I did notice that I haven't really seen, I guess you'd say, with any of them I've gone to, because even like A2 last year wasn't, or I'm sorry, A1 that we went to last year wasn't like that. And then
yep.
A2 last week, obviously they'd sifted the dirt and stuff, and that was still pretty decent. And then the other places we've been, have all been East Coast rounds, which haven't been anything close to that. So that was one thing I did notice. But other than that, like you said, really, really good track as far as the racing went, and everybody seemed to like it. And it worked out great for the fans. So that was pretty much it for the track. Anything else about that before we move on?
No, I just really hope that they continue to keep going forward and trying different things, because you could definitely tell that, like I said, you had to be very precise, and you couldn't force it a lot. You couldn't force it because you'd actually end up going over your rhythm, and you're just screwed at that point. So I hope that Dirtworks, they realize that they can expand their range a little bit.
Yep. So okay, cool. Well, let's move on then. We're gonna start with the 450s this week. Alright, so we'll start with the 450s here this week. Changing it up a little bit, keep you guys on your toes. Let's start with Justin Brayton here. Brayton looked fantastic most of the day. Basically until we got to the main. I had put him actually like on the box for my fantasy. He looked so good. And then Yeah, he kind of shit the bed on me there, which was not helpful. So, what did you think of Brayton's ride yesterday?
Yeah, man, I think I didn't hit him quite on the box. I think I had him at fifth in my fantasy and stuff. He looked great all day, though. Once again, talking about being very precise and very relaxed. That's pretty styled, not a lot of body language and stuff. And, you know, he showed what he can do when he gets to start in that heat race. He still had the fastest lap of the whole entire day into the night show of anyone. And honestly, man, I think it all just comes down to how deep this 450 class is. That you need to start. You know, if you would have gave him, me and Matt Wyman were talking about this, and I think that he got the start in the main and like he did in the heat race, there's a very good chance he could have won it. But it's just, you know, even though the track had different variations and stuff, everybody's so close that you literally have to be aggressive to work your way through. And I think you can just attribute that to his start. You know, if he got a better start, he probably would have been on the box, because his lap times were still good. But it's just this year is different than most years. You know, it doesn't matter how fast you are at a clear track. Even if you have good racecraft, it's just the guys, they're so close. There's no real separation between them.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that heat race, he looked phenomenal in it. Absolutely phenomenal. I was super pumped on it. But, yeah, then in the main, just a bad start, and he started to kind of move up. He got around Anderson, and I was like, okay, cool, we're going to start making moves. And then that was pretty much all she wrote. Ando got back around him and just didn't really go anywhere. Which, speaking of Anderson, Anderson had a so-so day. I mean, finished fourth, qualified all right, looked in the heat race, but I mean, and I really thought he was gonna go. I really thought he was gonna do worse last night. I really did. When Brayton got around him, I was like, ooh, he's gonna go backwards. This isn't good. And then Grant started getting around him, and I was like, ooh, he's really gonna go like. This 47-point deficit by Eli here, if he wins this and Anderson ends up fourth, like all of a sudden we're going to look at like a, I don't know, 35, 34-point deficit, something like that. And like, holy crap, that's you know, way more in the realm here. But dude, I mean, polishes off a fourth and gets out of the night with decent points and is still holding that red plate. So, I mean, thoughts on that?
I think that we were waiting for it because it's Anderson's MO. He's done it for 3 years now that he's been in the class. We kind of all talked about it. We can all kind of agree other than A1. He's been the fastest guy pretty much straight up. He showed that in Houston in the third main and A2 in the Triple Crown race. But when was he going to have a Anderson, and I do that in air quotes, an Anderson type race? And usually that meant a bad star or kind of imploding halfway in. And, you know, yeah, he was going backwards, and I honestly didn't think that track was really going to fit him because of how smooth you had to be, and that's just not Ando's style. But I don't know what it was like in the stadium, but they're sitting there watching him, going backwards, the car catches up to him, and you can almost see himself with the way his technique relaxed. He's probably having a conversation underneath the helmet with himself, going, don't do this up. You have the red plate. You've been the fastest guy. Calm down, take a deep breath, let things come to you. And he regrouped, and, you know, we talked about it before on the show. Ryan Dundee. That was a Dunjack's performance. You don't win championships on your good days. You win them on your bad. And if fourth is Anderson's bad day, that's all he needs to do to keep holding that red plate. And I don't want to say that it was a great ride by any means, because once again, like you said, that could have been way worse. He could have just imploded and forced it and ended up on the deck. But man, with how he was going backwards for those 3-4 laps, fourth place, in my book, that was great.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good salvage for the night, and, you know, we're talking like, okay, you know, fourth place is a bad day, like, whatever, that's still really good, Dungey-esque as we keep talking. The problem I really see here is 2 out of the next 3 names I have on the list to talk about here have, other than last weekend, which last weekend I kind of write off because it was the Triple Crown format, other than that, they've been right in that top 4 all 3 weeks also. And, you know, I'm talking Barcia and Kenny. Because I really do feel that Kenny and Barcia's bad week of last week, where they both struggled with starts, and obviously we all know Kenny kind of had some mental issues going on last week because of it, you know, being the anniversary of the injury and everything. But man, I really, other than that, I mean, you got to look at A1, Houston, and now Glendale, and they've both been either on the box or 4th place. I mean, at this point, let me see here. Where are the points here? I mean, you're looking at Anderson is, between Anderson and Pike is 18 points. Separating the top 4 is all. So, and I mean, realistically, Anderson's got a 9-point lead on Barcia in 2nd. So there's 9 points are all that's separating 2nd through 4th. I mean, you're looking at if Anderson does, and who knows, maybe he won't. Maybe he will turn into the next Ryan Dungey and just be completely consistent all year, top 4, top 5s, and really yard these dudes points-wise. But one bad week, again, you know, or if he clicks off a couple 5ths here and you get Anderson and Barcia win and a couple other people in between, I mean, dude, you're looking at all of a sudden this points race is 5 points week in and week out between 4 or 5 dudes. I mean, Seeley's not really that far off. Seeley's only 1 point farther back. I mean, dude, this is close. Like, I don't know. Have we ever had something like that's realistically this close? I mean, I know Anderson's 9 points ahead of 2nd place at this point, you know, but again, I mean, I don't know, man. This is, to me, this is shaping up to be an amazing season points-wise to watch these guys battle week in and week out.
It's never been this close. We've never had, because if you think about for the last 10 years, even dating back to the Carmichael days, it was usually 3 guys. It was Carmichael, Reed, and Stu. And then even later on to that, and then it was usually Stu and Reed after Ricky retired. And then obviously the last 7 years, it was either Stu, RV, or Dunge. So no, we've never really had this many guys this close. And it is still early, and I think when we get to the halfway point, we'll kind of have a pretty good grasp of who's going to be in the title hunt. And usually that's about 3 people. But the last thing I'll say about Anderson before we move on is I completely agree with you, because it's only 4 rounds and we're not so sure if he's not going to have that one bad implosion, which I think, to me, it's not going to be hit the deck. It's going to be just a bad start. But the one thing you got to remember with Anderson is when he gets a start, are we so sure after how he dominated in Houston in that 3rd main, catching and passing and capping Eli, that he's still not the fastest guy? Because I'm not so sure about that. I was having the same conversation with Matt earlier and go, if him, Barcia, Kenny, and Eli all hook up off the start, and I'm not saying he is, but it's what makes me kind of on the fence about this. Are we not so sure that Anderson can just go around him and gap him? Because I think he can. I think that Eli, other than A1, and we really don't know, so we think that he maybe would have put in 15 seconds, but who knows? Maybe guys would have closed on him. I'm sorry, nobody has won a race yet like Ando did in Houston or that 3rd main at A2. You know what I mean? Yeah,
no, I see where you're coming from with that.
You just can't teach speed, and I know these guys are so close, and I'm not saying that this is, that's going to happen, but I don't know, man. I think the one difference between Anderson compared to where Dungey was last year is that Anderson on any given moment is faster than everybody, and, dude, let's not forget, I know it was only a heat race, he yarded everybody in that heat race.
Yeah.
He gapped everybody.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So let's talk about Eli. I mean, he got the win. I'm here to tell you, I don't know what his interview was like on TV. His interview in the stadium, I don't think I've ever seen that kid show that much emotion for a win. He was like, he was pumped that he won. He was elated. You could tell he was smiling. He was like, man, that was great to do that. Like, he knew that he was in trouble with the 2 guys behind him, Barcia and Kenny. He knew they were closing, and he was just trying to get through it. But, man, like I said, I don't know that I've ever seen that out of Eli, because usually when Eli wins, Eli knows he's going to win, and he doesn't question it. I felt like he kind of questioned it almost of like, man, these guys are coming for me. But man, that 2 in a row now he's rattled off. I mean, if he goes on a streak of another 3 or 4, and we get Anderson off the box a couple more times, okay? I mean, do we see Eli within 15 points of the lead by the midway point?
No, there's no way. There's no way. I think that obviously Eli can do it, and Eli can obviously go on a win streak. He did it last year, but the most he did was 5 in a row, and then he had, he got a bad start, and I think it was in Atlanta when he caught Dungey but ran out of time. obviously Eli can go on a start, but I think the one thing that we're forgetting about this, and that we get caught up in the moment in this industry. Like other stick and ball sports do the same thing, but in motorsports we have a really bad tendency of doing it. I think that we think that because of how good Eli did last year, that we just think that he's automatically going to be that fast. There's a reason why guys don't dominate like that year in and year out. I mean, like I told you last year, especially after Salt Lake, I had never seen anybody go that fast on a Supercross track, including the Stewart and even RV days. Never seen somebody do it. It's very hard to duplicate that every year. And the difference is, between this year and last year, we knew that the only two guys that could beat him were Dunge and Marv. This year, we got about 4 or 5 dudes that can beat Eli on a good day. And I think that Eli can rattle off wins, but there's no way he closes to 15 points in the next 5-6 rounds. It just, because the difference is last year, he gets a bad start, he can still win. Do you agree with the fact? Because there's no way I believe it. If he gets a bad start, dude, he'll lucky to get on the box. There's no way he can get a 10th place start and come through the pack and pass Anderson and Barcia and Kenny like he would have done to Marvin Dunge last year. So I agree with the fact that if anybody's going to do it, it's Eli. But once again, and I know we had this conversation earlier, Barcia, somewhere, somehow, don't know how, because everybody was talking in the fast line, and by the end of that main, everybody was staying on top of the wolves, but they were having the same traction problems. He went from 8 seconds to 2.5 and then to 1.8, and then I know that Eli reeled it back out a little bit. But, dude, like, it's just, if Eli gets one bad start, he's not winning. Plain and simple. He's not going to do what he did last year.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that. I mean, it's just, it's not, obviously, I've heard this, that it's not like necessarily the deepest field we've ever seen. It's deep, but it's not the deepest we've ever seen. But the problem is though, we have like you said, I mean, dude, you've got Eli, Barcia, Kenny, Ando, all any given night can win, and if they have a start over Eli, like, I don't know if Eli's going to be able to, you know, close a 10-second gap and come from, you know, 20th in the first corner. So,
and Kenny's out front, or Barcia, or even Anderson, that he can close the gap. Like, I think we're giving Eli too much credit, and it's deserved, but I think we're giving him too much credit based on last year. And I think that we're not giving everybody else enough credit. We just think that, oh, Eli leaps and bounds ahead of everybody. Well, I'm here to tell you, last year, if you were to take Dunge and Marv, where their speed was last year compared to where Barcia, Ando, and Kenny are now, I think they would be 5th and 6th. I don't think that they would be able to match those guys. And I know, once again, people are like, oh, it's early, we're only 4 rounds in. But we know what we get with these 450 classes, with this 450 class, this many rounds in. And I'm here to tell you, if you were to put Dunge's speed against the guys that are now last year, I don't think he gets to the top 4 1 round. I'm sorry, I just don't. I think the guys are faster this year, and I don't want to diminish what Eli could do, but I think if he gets a 5th place start, he can just go around everybody like he did last year. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe you don't agree, and I know some people won't, but I think we're giving Eli too much credit and just dismissing everybody else.
I just want to see where he's at when we get to the midway point, and then once I see where he's at, I mean, which we've only got like 4 rounds to go. But once we see where he's at, then I'll make a better determination whether I think he's actually going to have a legitimate title shot, or he's just going to rattle off wins and, you know, flounder around and just be like, what could have been had he not crashed in A1. Because I mean, he was what, 40-some points down? How many points down was he going into last night?
43, and now he's 36.
Yeah. So, you know, he knocked off 7 points last night, which is a good chunk. I mean, like I said before, and, you know, it coulda, woulda, shoulda, and maybe could possibly whatever. You have a couple more rounds like that where he knocks off another 7, maybe another 9. I mean, all of a sudden you get to the midway point and he's down to within 15 points. I mean, it's not out of the realm. It's not out of the realm. That's all I'm saying. I don't, like I said, I haven't completely written off his title chances yet, but I'm with a lot of people of it. It's pretty far fetched, you know. But he makes a hard case every week. He goes out and wins. So
he does. I just think he's still going to have a bad night. He's going to get a bad start because I think how hard for us he's going to keep getting the start. And once again, and I know nobody will forget it, so I'm not, you know, stating a revelation. but Eli still didn't win the title last year. So it's like,
Yep.
keep giving him all this credit, but he still didn't win. He exploded and he struggled for when we got the red plate. So I know things are different this year, and he's not facing the all-time most consistent guy in Ryan Dungey. But I think we need to pump the brakes a little bit just because he's won 2 in a row. It's not that big of a deal. Because what happens if we go to the next 3 rounds and he gets 4th? He's out of the championship at that point. He has to win from here on out. Like, that's the difference. He has to win every race. And I'm sorry, man. I can't see him doing it.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know, man, but we all know Eli thrives under that kind of pressure, apparently, so.
He does. Yeah, he does. I'm not taking anything away from him.
Yep.
It's not the same.
Yep. Anything else before we move to 250s? Because I know we gotta move this show on rather quickly here. So, anything else? Because they pretty much touched on everything I thought for this race. So, okay, we're moving on. Moving on to 250s. Okay, so we're moving on to 250s. This race was not as exciting as the 450 race. The 450 race was definitely the better race of the night. 250s were kind of all doing the same thing. So let's start. Let's talk about your boy Savatgy first here. Kind of a rough night. Down in the whoops pretty hard in his heat, but then comes back, hole shots the LCQ from the outside and wins that, and then hole shots the main from the outside, and he was, hold on, this thing I got pulled up here tells me how many laps he led and stuff. He led, yeah, he only led 1 lap actually. It was the first one. That was it. And then Shane took over to lap 6, and then Aaron led the rest out. But still, not a bad ride. Actually, was in 3rd until he made that mistake, and then AC got him. Man, I'll tell you what though. For as much as I'm like not a fan of that guy, right now those hole shots were freaking impressive. Freaking impressive from the outside. So, and I mean, here we are again. We're talking about he salvaged the night, fourth place, and you know it is now
5 points.
Yeah, 5 points out. So I mean, well within the range here at this point for a bad night where he crashes. So, what did you think of his night?
Well, yeah, I mean he struggled. You know, he hit the deck once again, skipped across on the whoops, dropped it, and hit his knee, and then he made the mental mistake where he just loaded up on the front brake a little bit too much, and it caught and knifed and stuff. But kind of go back to the Anderson point, you win championships on your bad nights, and he salvaged it where last year he would have had problems. He probably would have imploded a couple different times, and he's only 5 points out, and I'll continue to say this, man. AP is the points leader, man, but you can't bank on AP getting starts like that every weekend, and I still think it's going to come down to Shane and Joey. Shane's the only other guy that's been as consistent as Joey, and yeah, Plessinger's the points leader, but that's because he's won 2 races. Well, Joey's won 1, Shane's won 1. I still think it's going to be a 2-dog fight come 7th, 8th round, and yeah, I don't know, man. I still think that Joey, even though he's in 3rd in the points now, is still going to be in the best chance to win the championship, because the difference between him and everybody else, alluding to your starts point, he doesn't get bad starts. Everybody else, you can at least bank is going to get 1 more bad start, and yeah, maybe Joey gets 2nd, and he isn't the fastest guy, but you keep getting starts, you get a 2nd, another win, maybe another win, a 3rd. So it's the way to win a championship, and I think that he's going to be holding that number 1 plate come Vegas.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think this is going to be another. I'll tell you, I've told you this before. Obviously, when we were talking this afternoon, if there's one thing, we are having an awesome point series in the 250 West and the 450s. So that's great for the sport. It's great for us as fans and spectators and all that. Even for us as media covering it, it's great. So last night was one of those nights. The AP was not going to lose that race, right? That we're in agreement. That was one of those. He was winning no matter what.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. Because I know, like we touched on Shane getting 2nd there, and obviously there was that crossover jump that was kind of sketchy and is kind of the talk of the town right now. But even if he doesn't do that, he's still winning that race. Because whatever they found for him in the main, he was coming through without a doubt. He was fast. He was fast-ish all day, but he was really fast in that main, which is weird because that track was the total opposite of a normal AP fast track because it was definitely not ruddy and gnarly. It was hard and smooth. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess, yeah, it comes down again. Here we are talking the start. So...
Well, it is a start pretty much for AP. Because like we talked about after Houston, we pretty much were in agreement that the two fastest guys were AP and AC, but AP's problem is it starts and not putting a lap together, literally going section to section. And, you know, when AP gets starts like that, he's probably going to win every time, barring anything ridiculous like a bike malfunction or whatever. But the difference is, as much as I like AP, you can't guarantee he's going to get starts like that. And that's the only thing. Now, if you could tell me that he was going to be top 3 every freaking race off the line, I'll tell you that he'll win every race because he's proven he's that much faster than everybody else. But the problem is that he can go to Oakland this weekend and get a 10th place start, and he's not going to win. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that it's pretty much still it's Joey and McElrath. I don't think AC. I don't know, man. I don't think he's going to get a win this year. I'm sorry. I just don't think he's going to get a win. You can't put 15 minutes plus 1 together. And AP, once again, it's literally like, you know, it's just a crapshoot if he's going to get off the line or not.
See, I haven't totally written AC off yet. He's the last one I got on the list to talk about here. I haven't totally written him off yet as far as getting a win because I think he can still pull one out. I think one of these weeks, I mean, obviously we know the kid is fast. He can ride all 20 minutes. He's in shape for that, or all 15 minutes, whatever. He's in shape for that. He can throw down heaters. And I even heard it in the interview. Steve interviewed Mitch Payton, and Mitch is like, the only thing I'm worried about is his starts. If we get his starts, he goes, I think his mistakes will slow down because he'll be able to sprint for a couple laps, and instead of having to continue to sprint the whole race to try to play catch up, he will be able to tone it back to a pace that he's comfortable at where he doesn't hit the deck. Which again is something we kind of still remain to be seen. I mean, obviously he won Daytona and Vegas last year, and that's cool. But this year he's been having Savatgy syndrome issues. So I haven't written him off yet for getting a win. But I'm not 100.
How many rounds you gotta go though?
I'm not.
How many rounds do you gotta go?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. We're 4. Well, I mean, fuck. We're halfway through their season basically at this point. So.
I'm not trying to, you know, I'm trying to be rude towards AC, but that's the thing. Like, and I've asked that people before, and people say, "Well, I'm not counting them out." Well, and I've asked it to everybody else, not just you. Like, how many times you got to go before you stop saying, like, I don't count them out. Like, because if you say the Vegas and the East West shoot the final round, okay, that's fine, no big deal. But how many rounds do we got to go before it's like, you know, maybe he's not going to get one? And I like AC a lot. I didn't like him when he first came in because I thought he was a snotty kid that got everything handed to him and he just didn't appreciate it. But he's grown on me. He's changed his air. He's changed his ways. But, man, it's just that's the thing. He can be faster than everybody else. But even if it comes down to the start, he just hasn't been able to put it together. And we don't even know if he gets a start and he leads, that he's not going to have and I'll use your words, a Savatgy syndrome moment and put it on the deck. I mean, look what happened to Houston. He hit the ground 3 times.
Yeah, no, you're right. So, I don't know, man. Like I said, I mean, dude, if anything, I could see him winning Vegas again. Just because he's won there, and he gets there, and he's got the confidence all day, rides great, and wins it. So I could see that. Like I said, the title, I'm pretty sketchy on the title. I think you're right. I think it's going to come down to, depending upon what AP does the rest of the rounds, because he's kind of a wild card. He's like the third dude that's like the way wild card of it. But like I think it's gonna come down to Shane and Joey for the title. And then yeah, maybe throw AP in there depending upon if he can, you know, continue to hold it together, but who knows. So yeah, that's basically what I think on that. And other than that, there really wasn't a lot in the 250s last night. Do you have anything else you wanna really need to touch on before we make some picks for next week and wrap this up?
No, the only thing I'll say is that I think that another podium's coming for Sexton.
For who?
Sexton.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Sexton looked he looked pretty good yesterday. He was 5th, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was 5th, but now he's only a point behind Christian in the points for 5th.
Okay, yeah. No, he looked good. Did they show on TV? Did Craig crash in the first lap somewhere?
No, they were pretty focused on what was going up front with Joey AP in the telegraph.
Because I saw him getting up, but I didn't see what happened, and I don't even remember what section it was in where something happened to him on the first lap. That's why he was so far back last night.
I don't think they show. They're gonna do data. I didn't catch it.
Okay. Okay. So picks for next week: winners in 450s and 250s. Go.
250s. I think I'm going to stick on the Aaron Plessinger, and I'm going to say that he puts 2 in a row finally together. I don't know, man. I don't know how to explain it because I literally just got done kind of like, diminishing, his title chances. But I just think that he showed what happens when he gets started. He's that much better than everybody else. And they were talking about in the program, he's relaxed his mind a little bit and just kind of worried about hitting his marks, hitting his shift points, being dialed in with his reaction time, and not worrying about the other crap. So I think if he does that, he's going to go on and win. As for 450s, I know we really didn't get to go deep into these two guys and stuff, but I'm probably going to shock you. I'm going to go Barcia. I'm going to go Barcia gets a win in Oakland. He rode the best I've ever seen him ride last night. I know he only got 2nd, but I'm going to go ahead and say Barcia gets a win, which is shocking to me too because I didn't have him getting a win until he went to East Coast. I think he's going to get a win, and I think if you're in his camp and you're spinning anything the way you want to make it seem good, all you're saying to him is right now, dude, you caught Tomac from 8 seconds down. You didn't win, but you caught him. Take one back to the start.
Okay, fair enough. I'm going to go with in the 250s, I think Shane's going to rebound next week and pull one off.
Okay.
And then I think until I'm proven wrong at this point, which could be this week, I'm going to give Eli the nod in the 450s. I think he's going to rattle another one off here. I don't think his streak is, I don't think it's done yet. So, anything else you want to touch on before I wrap this up here?
Not really.
Okay, great. Well, this has been another episode of the Moto Aftermath Show. Thanks for watching. Remember, please subscribe, comment, like, share it. Get your friends to subscribe. We need all the help we can get, all the views we can get. Make sure follow us on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. Buy t-shirts on Teespring. Buy stuff from the Amazon links. Help support us on Patreon. Keep the lights on. All the links for all of that stuff in the description below. Every Tuesday we do new videos reviewing the race from the weekend prior, and starting for the Daytona round we will have preview videos going on the Facebook page. So like I said, make sure you get behind us on that, like that page, follow that page on there too, and don't forget, smash that subscribe button down there on the YouTube page here. This has been another episode of the Moto Aftermath Show, our Glendale wrap up. We will see everybody next week after Oakland.
Practice on